Okay, and we are live. So, hello everyone. It's a warm welcome from Team Let Us Talk It, and this is Phil. And Let Us Talk It is an initiative of Cogent Integrated Business Solutions. So, they're an IT company based in Detroit, Michigan, and they do consulting. They develop products to help companies grow, and they wanted to give back to the community as well. So they created this initiative in order to share knowledge for free to anyone in every part of the world, and we invite professionals definitely as our guest speakers who are also willing to share the initiative in giving back to the community in a form of free knowledge. So the professionals, seasoned professionals that we invite, I'm very excited to introduce them to you, but we're gonna have to introduce them one by one, as we have two guest speakers, and they'll be taking 25 to 30 minutes of their time to share with you, and also to teach you what they know, and some portion of their best practices. So let me introduce to you the first topic that our first guest speaker has prepared for us today. So the topic is about super stuffed AI. So, in this session, our guest speaker will share how to approach AI in a human centered manner while effectively leveraging this powerful tool. And the challenge for optimizing AI isn't a technical one, it's a people one. This presentation provides an easy to understand framework and teaches how to simply and effectively harness connected intelligence. All right. And our guest speaker works with organizations to leverage AI for efficiency as well as effectiveness, and not only about faster and cheaper, but also about better and more innovative. And also, our guest is grounded in helping develop more effective communication to increase engagement and connection. So, with human-centered approach to AI, our guest today believes it's not about machine intelligence or about human intelligence. Instead, it's about a combination of both, which is a term he expresses as connected intelligence. And let me introduce you none other than our guest speaker, Geoffrey Klein, for the first topic today. Sir Klein, thank you so much for joining us today. And yep, you can take it away.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here. Hello to everyone. As he said, my name is Geoffrey Klein. I fell into AI only probably 3 years ago, maybe 6 months after the GPT moment, and haven't recovered. And for me, my mission is really to help people with AI literacy. We'll talk about kind of how overwhelming it is. And I was trying to think of a way to help come up with a relatable way, an easy to understand way to approach AI. And that's where the super stuffed AI comes from. And the origin of that is from something that many of you may be aware of, which is Oreos. Um, the whole concept today is about the Oreo cookie. And so I don't know if you're aware, but did you know that 40 billion Oreos are consumed every year across 100 different countries? And the Oreo had sort of its origins back in 1912 with the original Oreo. And there's questions about how you eat your Oreo. Some people twist it, some people dunk it. No matter how you eat your Oreo, most people enjoy Oreos. Um, and I don't know, is the chat on? Can people participate? Um,
Yes, the chat is on, and
all
yeah,
right,
go
so
ahead.
if you are a fan of Oreos or you have a particular flavor Oreo that you like, feel free to just drop it in the chat. I'm always curious to see what kind of Oreo cookies we like to eat.
Yeah. All
So
right.
Oreo's been around for, a minute or two. It started off back in 1912. That was when the original Oreo kind of came to be. And the irony about innovation, so I don't think if we think of cookies as being innovative at the time, it was, but it didn't change until about 1974 when they introduced the double stuff. And the reason it only has one F is because they could copyright it. It's intentional not to include the F. I didn't think that was a big deal until I started to look into it. So why the double stuff? Well, the cookie to cream ratio, people wanted more cream. And then after that, they actually came out with the mega stuff Oreo, which had even more cream, more stuffing. And then eventually, for a limited time, they still come out with the most stuff. So I like the idea that, you're looking at, the cookie cream ratio. And I wanted to share what I believe is the most important new Oreo that everyone needs to get on board with, the super stuffed AI Oreo. And you'll see it's got a lot of stuff. So it's really an analogy. And I decided I needed to study this almost on a scientific front. And I came up with a schematic to try and explain the importance of this approach. So this is the super stuffed AI Oreo. And it's important you get this because everything flows from this. So you have a cookie at the top and a cookie at the bottom and the cream in the middle. The two cookies represent us humans. So you have a human at the top when you start exploring AI, then the AI does its magic, and then you have a human at the end of the process. And that's how you get the magic of the super stuffed Oreo. So we're going to break down each of those pieces. So the first one is the human in the loop. So the percentages of that Oreo is it's 10% cookie, 80% cream, 10% cookie or human. So human, AI, human. Now, what I've said to people is you got to get on the AI train because if you don't get on the AI train, you might get run over. Um, but importantly, it's not about training the AI, it's about training humans because they spend billions of dollars to create these foundation models so that they know all this information, they have the algorithms to ensure they're useful. And then we give them to people. And people are either scared of them because they don't know how to use them, or they're overwhelmed and they're like, I don't know what you want me to do with this. And when in a couple months they're like, hey, what can you do with AI? And you're like, I can write some better emails. But they found on a study that the number one obstacle to implementing responsible AI is knowledge and training gaps. People are not in organizations or individually are not investing the time, energy that they need to really leverage the power of this incredible technology. So where do you start? And I think the way is you have to think about how to learn AI effectively. What is the way that you can? So I came up with a framework called the SET framework. And it's really about making time to learn AI to unlock that efficiency and productivity. I wrote an article once that said about the efficiency paradox, which is I'm too busy to save time. So you have to, there's only so much time in the day. If you want to really learn something, you have to set aside time. So the set framework is the framework to do that. You got to schedule it. You got to block it on your calendar. You got to make it non-negotiable. Even if it's 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a week, whatever it is, you need to put dedicated time away to learn and invest in yourself to see how these things can be used. Education. So you're not just chasing the most shiny object. Things come in all the time. You want to actually learn, and I'm going to teach you a framework about how to use it. But you need to invest in a playbook of whether that's a course or a strategy or a system. It's not AI ad hoc. AI ad hoc is what everyone's doing, and they're not getting the real results. There's a whole issue about, oh, we're not getting ROI. You're not getting ROI because you're not using it appropriately and effectively. And so my hope is to help that. And then you got to test. So I always suggest you pick one process, define a very clear key performance indicator, you run the test, and then you either scale it if it works or you iterate until it does work. A lot of people are doing AI pilot programs and they're doing 4 or 5. And I recommend, no, just focus on one. Get one done really well. Then you can show your bosses or your colleagues the power of it, and then you can start to do others and then figure out. So start with something, and the way I always say is start with that annoying task that you don't like to do. Take that off your plate with the help of AI. So this is the set framework. You have to schedule, educate yourself, and test. I like to think that AI, it's art and science, and the science part requires experimentation. You have to test. So you have to set aside time. And part of the goal is really to understand how do you effectively talk to AI. It's been talked about since the ChatGPT moment. we've all heard probably the term prompt engineering. You ask it, a good question, you get a good answer. People think, oh, I ask it one question, it should give me all the answers. Some people have asked it something, it has given a poor answer, and they're like, AI is terrible, and they move on. And so there's a whole thing about, being a prompt engineer. To me, the shift that I think is worth exploring is not about prompt engineering, but what I and others call context engineering. It's not just about asking the questions, it's about training the AI, asking the AI the right question in the right way to get the best results. So I created something AI easy as a snap. So the snap framework is real simple. Four things you need to do to get the best out of when you're engaging with AI. So the S, you have to set up the situation. So this means what you're going to actually write. My goal is to do X. My audience is this. This is what success looks like. And more information you can upload. Here's an example of one I like. Give AI the most context you can about what's going in this situation. It will give you better answers. Name the role. People are starting to get this one. Act as if you are a whatever experience, but the more specific you get, the better it will be. You are an IT expert with 30 years experience with a particular, focus on cybersecurity. Whatever you need that role to be played. Then here's the real unlock that I think makes this framework sing, really work, which is the ask. So you've given it the situation, you've told it how to act. Now you're saying, okay, ask me questions to help you with context. And I think there's a bit of art to how you ask it. You say to the AI, ask me up to three questions, one at a time, to obtain further context that would improve the output. And I always add, and don't go and perform the task until you have the answers. And then the last piece is perform the task. Specify what it is, the format you want, what you want it to do a quality check, anything that's important in terms of the output. Snap. You set up the situation, you name the role, you ask the questions, and then you perform the task. I've tested this and it works way better than just talking to it without any strategy. This is just a framework, a simple framework to get better results. And I suggest you test this. Test what you give it. How often does it do it? The last piece I'll say is that it's not a one and done. So even if you, and I asked all of these in one prompt. So I even sometimes will put in set up, name, ask, perform, and then underneath I'll put what I want the information. But a lot of times you have to ask follow-ups, clarification. It does a good job, and you're like, oh, I need better. You're asking it to draft something. You're like, can you make this more formal? Whatever it may be, it's like, again, the best way to look at AI is to treat it like an associate. So an associate gives you something, and you're like, no, you know what? You got to make it a little better. I need this to have this format, or I need that. And it will take those, and then so you kind of go through. It's a conversation. So people are expecting AI to work super fast, and it is super fast, but it's not lightning. It doesn't strike and kill things. The most important part of this, and I think the most important part of getting the most out of AI is something that I alluded a couple of times, which is context. It's all about context. The more context you give it, the better it can help you. Okay. So that's the first cookie, the top cookie, how the human thinks and strategizes about how to communicate with AI. Then we got this amazing cream center filled with all the AI magic. I'm going to put that to the side for one moment. I'm going to give you the two human cookies first, and then we'll get to the AI. Because again, a human-centered approach is making sure humans at the front and the end. So I want to make sure that I know you can get distracted by the shiny things that AI can do, and we'll see some of them. But first, let's talk about that second piece, the human in the loop at the end. So you give it this great snap framework, all the context. It gives you this amazing report, article, email, whatever it may be. And you're like, let me send that to my boss. No, that's dangerous. To just take the output and send it across to someone is asking for trouble because AI at the moment still doesn't give you perfect responses. And therefore, the human in the loop after you get the AI output is critical. You need to have a human editor who knows what they're talking about enough to make sure that the AI didn't make stuff up, hallucinations. It still does it. It's getting better. But my father was a judge for almost 40 years, and there have been cases where lawyers have submitted briefs to the court citing cases that did not exist. AI just made them up because AI always wants to answer. And so you need to be clear about, and you can do this in the prompting. Don't make anything up. If you don't know the answer, tell me you don't know the answer. But even so, you need someone to make sure it's not just going off the rails. You need to make sure that it's accurate, not just that it's true, but it's accurate for what you're asking. And then as a marketer, you want to make sure it's on brand. So if the tone isn't right, you want to make sure all these things. The way I usually have told people is the takeaway here is when you're using AI, even now, it's getting better, but even now, you want to be a spy.
Mhm.
Trust no one. You want to collect intelligence, you want to observe and learn, and you want to use these tech tools. So you want to be a spy and not trust the output it just gives you. Now, on the flip side, don't be a spy. Don't pretend, don't lie, and please, life is precious. Let's make sure the humans are here at the end. Uh, but the whole point of all this is to remember that critical, the human needs to be in the loop when you start to get the best responses, and then at the end, that cookie to make sure all the human factors are considered. And use your own expertise, your own common sense, your own unique human characteristics that enable you to enhance not just what you do, but enhance what you do by using AI the right way. Now, I have a secret I want to share that sometimes comes, people, get a little touchy about it. But the reality is, as good as AI is, the current AI is the worst AI will ever be. Every day, it seems, a new one comes out, and it's better than the last one. Now, that doesn't mean you should go from one to the other. A lot of people go, so which tool should I use? And I have a real simple answer. Use one of these. Oh, wait, there's a few. That's a little much, huh? Yeah, we're all, there are thousands of AI tools that come out all the time. How do we possibly know how to navigate that overwhelm? And it is overwhelming. Even for people who are in it all day, every day, it's a lot. And so that's why I think it's important we recognize this little Oreo. There's your comfort zone. And what does the Oreo represent? Well, that's where growth happens. If you really want to understand how to approach AI, you need to have a plan about how to get out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to go through quickly what I call the AI roadmap. Um, and these are the steps that I work with organizations to help them have a systematic, structured, methodical approach to implementing AI. So usually who's going to be responsible for running the charge? Someone, you need to have one or two or a couple people who are going to be on an AI committee who are going to be like driving things forward. Now, I don't know how many organizations on this call have it, but you'd be surprised how few organizations have AI policies. And that's critical. You need to let everyone in your team, your workforce know what can they do and what can't they do with AI. Clear. Can we use ChatGPT? My father, who works at a law firm as a of counsel, was just told he can't use ChatGPT anymore. But he's been using ChatGPT exclusively. He's like still going to use it. And that's a problem. People are still using things that they're not allowed to use. It's a whole nother story. It's called shadow AI. Not to be scared. But you need to have those policies. You need to communicate those to people in a clear way so they know what the parameters are of what is okay and not okay. Because if you don't, financial data might go in, They may use AI that's not responsible, and you'll get into trouble. And then we talked about this at the very beginning: education, education, education. You need to come up with a framework for how are your people going to learn how to use these tools? What certifications they need? What outside consultants might you hire for training? Uh, it's important that it's moving fast, but there's still foundational, fundamental things that you can do to learn how to use it appropriately. And then it's all about use case identification. So people, there's a whole thing about jobs coming, Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA, in a commencement speech a week or two ago said, AI is not taking your job. Someone using AI better than you might. And I have some issues with that, and I love Jensen Huang. He's phenomenal. Um, but it's clear that if you don't learn AI, you're going to be behind. But how to use it is basically to identify. Every job is a collection of tasks. So you can then break those tasks down and ask, can AI do that? Can AI do that? And so it's about what are those use cases? And then finding the ones that are the low hanging fruit that can really help AI can help right away. And that's why you have a pilot program. You have a pilot program, you have benchmarking. So if you're like, okay, I have to write a report once a month, it usually takes me 3 hours. Now I'm using AI and I've learned to create a custom gem or GPT, and now it takes me half an hour. Like you want to be able to measure the impact it's having, and then you basically scale. And so that's one framework for how to have this roadmap, and there's some distinctions you can make. But generally speaking, I think this is where organizations need to start thinking about implementation and adoption in a way that's going to stick. Otherwise, you're going to just have kind of a free for all. Now, we did talk about that juicy part in the middle, and I'm just going to show you a few use cases um, that I think. Now, AI has been around since the 1950s. The ChatGPT moment in 2022 was about generative AI. It can now create stuff, not just predict, but actually create something new. And so content creation is amazing. And so I have a few different ChatGPT, Nano Banana, which is Gemini, Google Gemini's, HeyGen, Midjourney. There's plenty of them. Um, but I'll give you. So this morning, I'm like, Kojin is our lovely host for this event. So I thought I'd write a poem for them because who doesn't like poetry? So I call this Cogent Intelligence. Cogent harnesses AI to illuminate the way, transforming raw data into insight every day. Ideas become action through code that learns and sees, shaping smarter futures with intelligent ease. Now, I am a writer, but I did not write that. I basically used my friend AI and I came up with this. And I used another tool called Pomelo, which is an experiment. It's a beta tool from uh, Google. You put in your website, it does a brand DNA, and then you can click campaigns. And I literally did this morning. Put in the Cogent website, and it created a couple posts in moments. That's how quick and good. Now, is it perfect? No. But as a starting place, it really can help you create things. And multimodal, it can handle audio, it can handle code, it can handle text, it can handle images in and out. And so you can, you'd say, no, I need you to add this, or no, I don't like this color, or whatever. But it took the brand colors and as something that was done in minutes, it's pretty impressive. You need to work at it to make it yours, but within a very short period of time, all the foundation models have Claude less so with visual. No, I take that back. It can do PowerPoints and stuff. Anyway, there are tools there. If you want to create an image, I'm not a designer. I work with them, but now I don't need them as much. I can create. So I used to create my Frankenstein designs, pulling things in and then giving it to my designer and saying, make that look beautiful. What's happened now is my Franken designs are clearer and easier for them to go and make even better. Now, I know we have an international audience here, um, and I've traveled a lot, and thankfully, everyone speaks English, which is a little egocentric for us English speaking people. So, my hope is that one day I'll be able to
Now I want to do a little demo and I want you to
Speak
watch
some.
carefully to see how well AI can showcase
That is me.
discussions in different languages. Ahora quiero hacer una demostración y observen para ver cómo la IA muestra discusiones en diferentes idiomas. Je veux faire une démonstration et je veux que vous regardiez pour voir comment l'IA peut présenter des discussions en différentes langues. 现在我想做一个小演示，我希望你们仔细观看，看看人工智能在不同语言的讨论中能表现得多好。
I barely speak English, but with the help of AI, I can speak any language. And I've had people, native speakers of all those languages. I had someone from Hong Kong who said my Mandarin wasn't too bad. Um, it just opens up the world so that if you have any kind of international presence, you can take a video and translate it in any language. I won't say any, most languages very easily. I used a program called HeyGen. It's the best I found for doing just that, particularly the lip syncing. So I'm going to leave you with what my favorite AI tool is. My favorite AI tool is called Notebook LM. It is a Google product that became kind of the darling. It's now embedded in a Gemini, but you can go to I think notebooklm.google.com. And it works kind of like a normal LLM. And for learning, it's phenomenal. Um, you put in the source, and one of the reasons I love it is because when you put in the source, it's now only using the sources you've uploaded. It's what we call grounded AI. So it's not going out. So the likelihood of it making stuff up is a lot less. So it's great. So I put in the Pope just had this 250 odd page uh, letter uh, document about his perspective on AI. And I was like, I don't have time to read 230 pages. So I threw it in a notebook LM and I could have done, it can do briefing docs where it will just show you, it can do uh, infographics, it can do training quizzes, it can do quizzes, it can do mind mapping. It's amazing. The one that got it real attention was its ability to do what they called audio overviews or mini podcasts. And then a few months back, they added the video overviews. And I create these every week for I have a weekly newsletter called Snackable AI, snackableai.com if you're interested. Um, and so here's what I did is I took you can see on the left-hand side, encyclopedia letter, that's all I gave it. Now you can give up to 50 different sources, but I just gave it the one, which was the Pope's letter, the text of the letter. And I threw it in there. And then I decided I wanted to make a little. So in the studio, here's where you can see what it can do. It has an audio overview, a video overview. It does reports. It can create quizzes, a slide deck, all those things from whatever sources you give it. You can give it multiple sources. You can say, here are 4 different reports on, IT in a certain country, and now tell me all about it in a report, etc. But the video overview I think is pretty neat, and that's the one that I've done. So I took this. I was like, I need to be able to grasp what this is without reading all 300, the 200 pages. Um, and so this is what it produced.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating and honestly absolutely vital document. It's Pope Leo XIV's powerful new encyclical, Magnifico Humanitas. Released in May 2026, this text is basically a profound playbook. It's all about safeguarding.
Jeffrey? Oh, okay. I thought the meeting, but Jeffrey got disconnected. Okay. Uh, let's wait a little for him to reconnect. Okay. So if you have any questions, put it up all. For those who are watching online, thank you for tuning in. Definitely, you can put your questions in the comments, and yeah, we'd be happy to help you with that. We have people watching through YouTube. Thank you guys. Just leave your questions in the comments or any opinions that you have or additional information. You can definitely put it in there. Or if you would like to request future topics that we you won't let us talk it to cover for you, yeah, you can put it in, and we'll try our very best to find the best speaker to take care of that topic. Okay, let's check on Jeffrey.
I have
Okay.
returned. AI was not happy with me and decided to kick me out. I'm not sure what happened. I apologize. If you're cool, I will just continue on.
Yes, go ahead. We were thinking the same way. AI might have done
It,
something strange.
I love AI. I don't know why it's not happy with me. Uh, okay, so as I just showed you, that's Notebook LM. It's fantastic. If you haven't tried it, I it's amazing. What I love about it is it's really an opportunity to learn stuff. And that to me is one of the real powers of AI is what do you want to know better, more? How can it help you? All right, so my final thoughts, and because I want to turn it over to guys to meet, efficiency. Everyone has been talking about how great it is. It can save you time, it can do things faster. And I would encourage everyone that while AI is and should be used for efficiency, we want to shift our mindset a little bit to the opportunity that AI presents. Things that were not possible are now possible. And so I encourage everyone to think big, but start small. So, what it is that's on your mind that you can conceive of, you can start to use AI to get closer to there. And my final question, what is the most important unique human quality? So we talk about AI and people talking about, well, it's just going to replicate everything we do. But there are certain qualities, and it's not just one, but there is one I'm looking for, that AI can't replace. And I'm going to get a little personal here. So these are pictures of my twin daughters, each on trips to Morocco. They were studying abroad. AI will never be able to replicate the experiences we have engaging with others. Yes, the emotional component, the connection. I think AI has the opportunity to make us more connected and more human by taking off those things from our plate that we don't need to be doing, those routine, repetitive tasks, so we can spend more time with our team. And AI can help with that. And then this is me and my family in Copenhagen, the Little Mermaid, which is very little, by the way. Everyone thinks it must be bigger. Um, and to me, it's really our ability to spend time together, connect with each other. And it's really all about that curiosity, our interest in learning about others. And so when you're thinking about your work, tasks, whatever it is, the more curious. And curiosity is that foundational, fundamental human quality that I think fuels innovation. and AI is simply a tool to kind of supercharge it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I don't know if we have time for questions, but I will turn it back, and apologies for the glitch. That's QR code to my LinkedIn. There's my email. Please reach out if I can help. I love sharing my perspective on AI, and I always appreciate the opportunity to do so. Thank you very much. I will turn it back.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for that very informative topic that you have shared today. And for that screen flash right now, you can actually screenshot it or can save the informations to connect with Jeffrey. And yes, definitely, he is very approachable. If you send an invite on LinkedIn and send him a message, you'll be able to get in touch with him if you want to work with him or just got some additional questions different from the topic he has covered. Definitely, you can just reach out to him and yeah, get connected. All right. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, again. And yeah, to allow enough time for the next topic, we'll park the questions. Just put it in the comments or just put it in the chat. If anything comes up, we'll have our guest speaker take care of those questions. All right. And for those who are watching online or will be watching this recorded session after posted, you can always leave your questions in the comments. All right, and let's talk about a second topic that we have prepared today by our second guest speaker. So the topic is AI generated operational intelligence, the future of customer engagement. So about this topic is we will learn how conversational AI is evolving beyond communication into operational intelligence, and the session will help us explore how conversation intelligence, business intelligence, and AI generated insights together help businesses understand customer behavior, improve decision making, and drive smarter operations in real time. And our guest speaker is director and CEO of Uminit, Umenit, and founder of Ring Mall. So that's ring with an E and then mall, Mall, if I'm correct. But just correct me if I'm wrong later. And
Absolutely.
also an entrepreneur and AI strategist focused on building next generation AI platforms for business intelligence and customer engagement. And yeah, none other than let me introduce to you our second guest speaker, Jasmeet Singh, and we'll be talking about AI generated operational intelligence, the future of customer engagement. So thank you so much, Jasmeet, for joining us today. And yeah, you can take it away.
You so much. Thank you so much. And bravo, Jeffrey. Trust me, you made the mood light, right? So I told you I'm going to take a little, not nap, but I'm going to just sway away and do something while you were talking. You didn't let me. You just made me hook up to the screen, and I'm striving. I want to eat Oreo right now. Trust me on that one. So I'm looking forward to the Oreo after the session. And it was quite nicely done, I would say. Mine is a little technical. It's not that easy to digest because I've got a different variations, right? When I present my slides, some of them are quite quick, some of them are quite light, but this one is quite quick. Trust me on that one because I've tried to cover as much as possible. So coming back to the topic, so I'm just Meet Singh, right? So I'm the director and CEO at Uminit. So Uminit is you, me, and IT, right? So it's for 15 years old company. We've been shipping AI products to big brands, big organizations since last, I would say, 6 to 7 years. People came to know about AI a few years back, but we've been doing AI since last, I would say, 6, 7 years, and that's a long time, right? So we've been delivering output, we've been making a change, bringing business intelligence, giving operational benefits to the organizations, and we're doing it day after day, and it's happening across the world. So that's Uminit. The second one is the Ring 'em All. So that's Ring Them All. So I'm the founder of Ring 'em All, and where we are trying to close the conversation to decision loop within the AI framework and giving business and operational intelligence to one of the most valued data set of your business, which is your customer and lead conversations, right? So I'm going to share some slides. I'm going to go through them quickly. Like I said, it's going to be a quick one. Can I share the slide, right? I mean, I can,
Yes.
right? Give me 1 second. So let me know if you can
Yes. It's
see
showing.
it, right?
Yes.
You can? Just give me 1 second. Okay, good enough. So I'm going to talk about a few things here. So I'm going to quickly spend 30 minutes or less maybe to talk around. It's like something that most AI vendors won't tell you. And we shall talk about what 2025 actually broke, what 26 is being forced to fix, and what comes after the agentic hype when it crashes into reality. So that's our discussion, right? Now, 2026 isn't the year that we all figure out AI. We all know. It's the year we figure out what we got wrong instead. Now, think about how the language has shifted. In 2023, every company that we knew added AI power to their homepage. We all know. In 24, it became AI native. In 25, it was agentic. Now in 26, a new word has emerged, which is agentic washed. We passed the high phase around AI, right? So we know it's like what AI can bring and what's about to bring. Of course, there's a lot to come in the future, but still we know what AI can bring to us. The companies that made the biggest claims about replacing humans, these are the companies which are quietly rehiring. The startups that raised billions on AI promises, some of them turned out to have no AI at all. And the enterprises that rush AI into production without governance. Governance is the key here. They're spending this year in a court or in the press or in what we call pilot purgatory. So that's what this talk is about. Not the failures themselves, but the pattern underneath them and what the winners of this year are doing differently. Now I'm going to talk about the numbers, right? So if you look at the numbers, I've listed on 4 numbers here. MIT, which published a study at the end of last year, they looked across enterprise AI deployments and found that 95% of pilots delivered zero measurable return. And I'm saying 95. And that's not a category failing at the edges. That's a category failing in the middle. And then look at the second one, the Gartner. They tried to identify which of the thousands of the vendors who are marketing themselves as AI agents were actually building real agents. And the answer was not more than 130. You'll be surprised, out of thousands. Now, Deloitte found that only 9% of enterprises have mature AI governance. The other 91, they are improvising in production. And Gartner's prediction for the next year is a big one. Half of the companies that laid off staff to replace them with AI will be rehiring by 2027. So now look at the shape of the room. 95% of pilots fail. 95% of the pilots fail. Most vendors aren't real. Most enterprises, trust me, they aren't ready. And half the layoffs are about to reverse. That's not a crisis. That's a correction. And the correction is what this is about. Now let's focus on some vocabulary because I think everybody should know about what I'm talking about right now, right? So BI. BI is business intelligence, and it goes backwards. It's more of dashboards and your quarterly decks. It actually answers what happened when you look at those. Then CI. CI is conversational intelligence. It's something which came next. Transcribe the call, tag the sentiments. It actually answers what was said. But here's the leap. OI, operational intelligence, is the real-time signals that trigger a workflow. Now, what was said, but what should we do right now? And that's the actual jump from analytics to action. Agentic AI is the execution layer, the thing that takes the action. And the spec-driven, the newest of the 5 states, that defines the win first, then run the AI. Here's the part that matters. Most enterprises live at step 2. They have call recordings, they have transcripts. However, the competitive advantage this year starts at step 3. Now going back to 24 and into 25, every AI strategy meeting was asking the same question. How much can AI replace? How many headcount can be cut? How fast can we hit the deflection numbers? But this year, the smart companies are asking a different question. They're asking, how do we deploy AI without breaking trust, without losing the relationship? That's the most important key. Without ending up in CSAT collapse. Now, I remember at Enterprise Connect this year, the biggest customer experience conference in the industry, Amazon Connect put it in one sentence on the keynote stage. And the sentence was, deflection is the wrong goal. Relationships are the goal. So that's the goal. Relationships are the goal. That sentence wouldn't have been said 2 years ago. Trust me not. And that sentence is this year's thesis. Now I'm going to talk about some real life examples, right? Some companies like Klarna in 24. This is a Swedish buy now, pay later company who stood on stage and announced that their AI chatbots were doing work of, let's say, 700 customer service agents. That's 700 with 2.3 million, almost 2.3 million conversations a month. And they projected that $40 million in annual savings. That's in 40 millions, right? And they froze all customer service hiring, the entire hiring. It was the most cited AI deployment in the world. Every consulting deck used to have this. Then in 25, the CEO said, we focused too much on the cost and the result was lower quality. And quietly, without a press release, Klarna started hiring human agents again. So the 700 agent story died completely. And here's what most people miss about Klarna. The AI did do what they said it would. It actually did. The resolution time really dropped 82%. 2/3 of the chats really were automated. The volume metrics were real. But what those metrics didn't catch was what was actually happening underneath. The CSAT was collapsing on the emotional 20% of the conversation, the moment where a human voice mattered. The AI was efficient. It just wasn't effective. And the dashboard didn't know the difference. So what is the lesson here, guys? The volume matrix will always hide a quality collapse until customers walk out. And that's a big lesson. And by the time they walk out, you're not running an AI deployment anymore. You're running a damage control. Now, another example. If Klarna is the cautionary tale, Builder.ai is the criminal one. It's a London-based startup founded in around 2016, I believe. By 2024, they were valued at $1.5 billion, backed by Microsoft, SoftBank, and some Qatar wealth fund. Their pitch, an AI assistant called Natasha. Build a mobile app for you as easy as ordering pizza. And Natasha was a facade. The actual work was being done by about 700 engineers in India, here where I'm sitting right now, manually coding apps, 1,000 jobs lost. Now, here's the part I want you to sit with. Microsoft is on that cap table. Microsoft did due diligence. SoftBank did due diligence. And every single one of them missed it for 8 years. If the diligence missed it, what makes any of us think our AI vendor due diligence is going to catch the next one? And that's the question. And that's the question Builder.ai really leaves us with. Not whether AI is real, but how you tell which AI claims are. Now I'm going to talk about 3 habits, right? So Klarna and Builder.ai, they look like different stories. One is misjudgment, one is fraud. But if you stack every major AI deployment that struggled in the last 24 months, they all share the same 3 habits. None of them is technical. All of them are habits. The first one, scope without judgment. This is pushing AI into complex 20% of the conversations it can't yet handle. And that's true, it can't. The future architecture will surely draw the human line. AI will take the 80% it's great at. 80% it's great at. Human will keep the 20% that builds the brand. So 80% will be taken care by the AI, 20% by the humans on top, like Geoffrey stated as well, the Oreo example, right? Number 2, metrics that hide the truth. Deflection rate, tickets per hour, headcount served, Here, the old numbers go up while the customer experience collapse. Retention, effort, outcome per verified conversation, that's a new dashboard. 3, deploy now, govern later. It's funny, and that's true. 9% of enterprises have mature AI governance, only 9%. The other 91% treat governance as a quarter four problem. The companies with real guardrails are deploying faster because they are not constantly redoing work that failed audit. Now, when I think about it here, Klarna and Builder.ai are not warnings against AI. They are the map of what to leave behind. Now, let's talk about the 4 stages, right? So I'm going to lay out the full evolution of the customer engagement, and that's a hot topic right now. Now, most companies don't realize where on the map they actually are, right? Now, stage 1, for example, either they are at stage 1, reactive, and that was like pre-2020, if you ask me. The customer raises a hand, the agent responds. The success is measured by tickets closed. Their relationship is purely transactional. And the data, the content of the conversation dies in a CRM note. No one reads, no one tracks, no one takes any action to that note. Stage 2, predictive. That's between 2020 to 2024. Churn models, I would say, quarterly insights from historical data. This was actually a real step forward, but the cycle time is too slow. The customer often decides to leave before the model catches up. Stage 3, proactive, last year. This is where the conversation intelligence comes in. Real-time sentiment, intent extraction, risk markers, all of these surfaced as the conversation is happening. The signal is finally heard. But here's the catch. The signal still lives in the dashboard. It needs a human to notice it, interpret it, act on it. And that's where you have stage 4, persistent. Now, this year onwards, every conversation across every channel is fed into a system as one evolving customer memory. Just imagine my all conversations will be there fed into a system, right? And the signals don't sit in a dashboard. They trigger workflows automatically. A retention email, for example, a callback, a pricing adjustment, a product alert. The conversation is no longer the deliverable. It's the operational input. Now, most enterprises in this room are stuck somewhere between stage 2 and stage 3. Now, they have the data, they have some tools, but the operational intelligence, it's what gets you to stage 4, the OI. And the gap between stage 3 and stage 4 is where the next decade of competitive advantage gets won. Now, look at the chart here. 91% of customer service leaders are under pressure to deploy AI this year. That's 2026. And that's 91%. It's not a should we question anymore. It's a how fast question. Only 25% have actually operationalized it. Only 25. So we already lost 2/3 of a room between wanting it and running it. And only 9% of the enterprises have mature AI governance in place. 9. So there is not an adoption problem. There is an infrastructure problem. And the companies that solve it first won't be the ones with the best AI. They'll be the ones with the best operating model around it. Now, here's the conversation to the decision loop, which I was talking about when I started the conversation. So now let me show you what the architecture actually looks like. This is the loop that defines the operational intelligence. Step 1, capture. Every customer interaction, regardless of the channel, could be voice, chat, email, WhatsApp, that's captured. Step 2, transcribe. Speech becomes text. This is where most companies already are. Step 3, extract. Intent, sentiment, risk signals, churn markers. The interesting work starts here. Step 4, correlate. Tie what was said in the conversation to what actually happened in the business, I would say. Did this customer churn? Did they buy more? Did they leave a review? This is the layer most enterprises skip. And it's a layer that turns conversation data into business intelligence. And the last step, the most important trigger, fire the workflow, not log a note, not file a ticket, trigger some action. Here's the principle I keep coming back to. A conversation that ends in a CRM note is just expensive entertainment, nothing else. A conversation that fires a workflow is operational intelligence. And that's what we're talking about right now. And the unit of time has collapsed for quarterly business reviews to real time, conversation by conversation. I hope I'm making sense, guys. And there's a lot to talk around. I'm going to skip this slide. I think I should, but I'm going to talk a little bit about this. I think I can take 10 minutes, right? More to talk through and go through all the slides.
Yes.
Now, this is the second framework, right? This one is uncomfortable because it's about the metrics you're already tracking and why most of them are wrong. Look at the left side. Deflection rate, tickets per hour, tickets to first response, headcount avoided, cost per interaction. Every single one of those is a vanity metric. They measure activity, not outcome. They measure cost, not value. They all share one property. They go up when the AI is deployed. Now, even if the customer experience is collapsing, this year's version looks totally different. What is the version? True resolution rate. Was it actually solved or just deflected? NPS, the net promoter score after the interaction. Retention, customer effort score. And the one I'd anchor on, outcome per verified conversation. And that's what Klarna was missing. Klarna optimized for the left column. They lost the right column. And the right column is where the money actually is. Now, another one. So if we get this right, if we leave behind the old habits, if we build the loop, if we invert the metrics, if we spec before we deploy, what does the next 24 months actually unlock? And what does customer engagement look like in 2028? The first, persistent memory. Today, every conversation is an island. A customer calls support on Monday, for example, opens a chat on Wednesday, sends an email on Friday, and each touch starts from a zero. By 28, every customer across every channel is one evolving customer brain. Context survives the channel. The customer never has to repeat themselves again. Second, intent before contact. By the time the call connects, the system has already identified what the customer is calling about. Their sentiment trajectory, just think about the sentiment trajectory across recent interactions, the churn risk score, and the recommended next best action. The human starts the conversation 30 seconds ahead. This is already live and real in the most advanced contact centers right now as we speak. The third one, the outcome economics. That's per seat pricing for AI dies by 2027. Now, the future is the outcome-based billing per verified conversation, per retention save, per resolved ticket. The unit of value becomes the unit of billing. The vendors won't or can't move to outcome pricing, get squeezed out. And the customer who insists on it get fundamentally better deal. And the fourth and the biggest shift of all, the contact center inwards. The customer engagement today sits on the cost line. It's a budget item to be minimized. And when the conversations start triggering workflows, that prevent churn, grow accounts. Customer engagement stops being a cost line. It becomes a revenue function. I think, yep, I'm going to talk about this as well, if it makes sense. But I think I'm going to, let me see, I'm going to, because there's so much I can go on. I think it's going to be too much for me to really not end it, right? So I'm going to see if I can talk about a couple of screens. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to talk about the one that I think I should. It's what we're doing right now. Now, I've been talking about OI, right? That's operational intelligence in the abstract for the last almost 20, 25 minutes. Now, let me show you what we have actually built. I'm going to talk about Ring 'em All. So Ring 'em All is the conversation to decision loop from slide 11 turned into a working platform for outbound sales, right? I talked about it. Now, four capabilities in the sequence. The one, understand. Every conversation get parsed live, and that's intent, sentiment, objection, patterns, buying signal, churn risk, and not in a post-call report, but it's during the call. Second is tag. Every conversation becomes structured data the moment it ends. The SKU mentions, competitor references, deal stage, sentiment trajectory, all tagged automatically. No reps doing manual call disposition. Three, route. A hot lead goes straight into the human closer. A cold lead gets dropped into a nurture sequence. A support issues fires a ticket in your stack. The platform decides the path, and the agent never has to think about it. And the four is the act. The CRM is updated, the calendar is booked, the follow-up email is drafted, and the Slack alert sent to ops. The conversation doesn't end in a note. So I'm going to end this. Like I said, I'm going to just wrap it up. I'm going to end this and by saying there's one question to leave you guys with, right? So in the 18 months, will your business be running conversations or will conversations be running your business? So that's something to think about because conversation will hold a lot of traction, a lot of value in the coming years. And that's what we are aiming for. That's what we're diving into. Thank you so much. I took a lot of time. I had a few more slides, but maybe next time. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Well, we can consider those slides teaser slides. So
Yeah.
we can keep the people asking and let's see if how they'll react. Maybe we can schedule a different webinar for the remaining information because there's always a lot of information to tackle, but everything is there and customer like experience really it's different if emotions are there, right? So
Right,
if
right. That's fine.
yeah, all run by artificial intelligence, so business will run out definitely. So okay, that very wonderful topic that you have shared as well. So everything just coincide and just looped it together like as what were represented earlier as an Oreo. So it like human will never be eliminated. So all right, and yeah, Jeffrey actually shared his weekly AI newsletter, snackablai.com. So feel free to check it on. So it's a snack and then ableai.com. And do you want to share if you have anything upcoming as well? Just meet people can look forward to, or I'll just advise them to follow your LinkedIn.
Yeah, just follow me on the LinkedIn because I've got so many things coming up. But my focus is right now to launch the next version of my solution. So I'm quite occupied with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, there's a lot of happening. I'm traveling a lot. So I think LinkedIn is the best source for anybody to touch base with me.
Mm-hmm. All right, that'd be perfect. So for those who are watching or will be watching this recorded session, it's best to follow this uh, individuals that we have as our guest speakers for today. So make sure to look them up, spy on them on LinkedIn, and check for their updates, and to be able to be ahead on top of the game. If you are one of the enthusiasts of artificial intelligence as well. All right, so we have here AI is really powerful and evolving so fast by Mary. As a comment, so it's amazing to see how it's shaping the way we work, learn, and think. All right. Thank you, Mary. Okay. Let's see. We have some few chats on YouTube comments. I love how you illustrated using an Oreo, really creative and memorable way to explain super stuffed AI. And if someone is just starting with AI today, what's the first practical step you would recommend, and why is that the best place to begin? So we'll get the opinions of both guest speakers.
You want to go ahead and answer that now? I'm happy to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, I get this question a lot, like, so where do I start? The best thing to do is to go play. I mean, it sounds like a funny thing, but I think the best thing is to literally log into ChatGPT, Gemini, whichever your favorite, and just start talking to it about like what's going on in your mind. So, what's a challenge you're having? Start to ask it questions. And I also think when you do that, you want it to be kind of low stakes. So you don't want to go and be like, you know, what's the strategy I should have for going into this new market? No, you want it. I always say the funny part, I always used to recommend people is go to your fridge, take a picture, put it into ChatGPT, and ask it to make a healthy meal and see what it does. But I think you have to go and just start using it regularly, and then you'll start to see how it works, because there's not a magic way to use AI. It's about how it works for you. And that's the same thing with which model to use. There's no perfect AI model. I don't care what anyone says. It's whatever's the best model for your use case. That's the best one. So, but I think there's resources. There, so my newsletter really just shares one of those kind of video overviews, a prompt, and a story of the week, and it's just about being, I think, intentional. Follow Jasmeet because he's got some great stuff on LinkedIn. I think that's to start to. One of the hard parts about anything you're trying to learn is who can you trust, and I think part of it is to listen to a few voices, figure out which voices you kind of, oh, wait, he seems to make sense, and then start to find your kind of thought leaders that are helpful and aligned with the way that you're thinking about that. There are a lot of people talking about AI all the time, and I have certain people that I'm like, these are the people there's a podcast I never miss because for me, it's the one that speaks to me in terms of the way I think about AI, and I think we're really aligned. And each person needs to figure out where they want to go and then try and find the voices that will be helpful in getting them there.
Okay. And how about you, Jasmine? You have
Yeah, yeah. I've got my son looking from my back, right? So I was just like, wait, we're still on. So I think for me, there are multiple layers to AI, if you ask me, right? So I've got a lot of kids coming to me and telling me it's like, oh, it's a new thing, and what should we do? How it should we start? And I just tell them to keep it simple and keep it easy. Don't really have to rush into it. And trust me, down the time, like I said, it has a lot of layers, and you don't have to understand right now at which direction you have to go to, because there would be so many directions coming up. A lot of things will happen, a lot of new areas will open up in terms of what is the role, what is your position, what is your responsibility, and everything will get clear with time. But right now it's too early, so right now just enjoy it, because when you talk about learning AI, there, like I said, there are a lot of levels to it, a lot of layers to it. And it starts from the basic. The basic is, okay, show me how an image can change. Show me how a conversation happens. So that's a basic beginning to understand what is an AI and what kind of a smart responses or hallucinated responses you get. So try it, like Geoffrey said, totally makes sense. But like I said, don't rush into the future right now, because things will change. Things will change in the colleges, things will change in schools, courses will evolve, and positions will evolve. So right now, just keep focus, be easy on your head, because kids are not taking it easy. They are like, I want to be the next Bill Gates tomorrow, and that's it. So keep it easy, keep it simple. There's a long life ahead of you, and a lot will come out, and then take a decision. Right now, just learn and enjoy it. Simple as that. So that's my answer.
all right, perfect. Thank you so much, and I hope that takes care of the question. That was from the YouTube live. So make sure to drop your comments there, or any questions you have. We'll just send it to our guest speaker, and then we'll do our best to definitely address that one, since time limits us now. And I'd like to encourage those who are watching or will be watching this recorded session to subscribe to the channels of our guest speakers. So for Jeffrey, just put in his name, Jeffrey Klein, on his YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. And for just meet the Ring Emal. So Ring Emal.
No, it's
Uh,
ring them all. So it's ring them all, but it's said ring them all with a, it's a, the
yeah.
old way of saying ring them all, right? So ring them all. So yeah.
Yes. And make sure to subscribe to get future updates for that one. All right. So I guess we'll have to end our webinar today to take not too much time, but we really appreciate the time of our guest speakers, Geoffrey and Jasmeet. Thank you so much for your valuable time sharing
Thank
today's
you for having
initiative.
us.
And yes, and for those who wanted to join, we do this once a month that falls in a Wednesday. We'll make sure to keep you posted in our LinkedIn and Facebook pages. And if you want to be a guest speaker, don't hesitate to send us a message on our LinkedIn page, Cogent, or Let Us Talk It page, and we'll be happy to have you in our platform. All right. So thank you so much for everyone who have joined and for our guest speaker. Take care as always. Thanks again, and all the best to you all. This webinar ends
Thanks, guys.
for now.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Take care,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Bye bye.